Hi there, I'm Andy Stevenson. Now, in this video I preview a series of 3 books that I narrated in 2020 to 21, which were billed as thrillers, and they form what are the most unusual, off-the-wall, exciting, spooky, gory and original thrillers that you'll ever come across. And stick with me through this video because I have 3 short clips, one from each of the audiobooks in the series, and I'll reveal how you can get a free download of the entire Book 1, The Sacrifice. Called the Hunted series and written by the charismatic author Donna Collins, if you're into tales of dark mystery, horror, heaven and hell, complete with some humour thrown in, this series is definitely for you. So, take a look at this short video trailer. Wow. Well, the story starts off with Eliza, an apparently ordinary nurse who lives in Cornwall in the southwest of England, being attacked by a mysterious shadowy assailant while she's waiting for a train home after work. She's rescued by an equally mysterious character who disappears as quickly as he arrives on the scene. But a few days later he shows up on her doorstep. And from there, if Eliza ever thought that her life was boring, dull, predictable and normal, then that was all about to change. Here's a clip from the audiobook of Book 1 in the series, The Sacrifice, when her mysterious rescuer turns up at her front door. The doorbell rang again, this time followed by an abundance of hammering. Eliza's stomach tightened. She reached for the door chain and slid it into the latch. "Who's there?" "I have your bag." A long sigh escaped Eliza's lips, and the familiar tingle returned to the pit of her stomach. She opened the door, and immediately rain blew through the 5-inch gap the chain allowed and hit her in the face. There he was, the man from last night. Hat held tight to his head, his totally inadequate jacket wet through. He held out her bag. His head tilted away from her, the rim of his cap still shadowing the majority of his face. She wanted to say thank you, to invite him in out of the rain, to find out who the hell he was, and if he could shed some light on what had happened the night before. Instead, she stood there, and, under the low light from the flame, watched the raindrops trail his jawline and drip from his chin. The man shifted feet and looked up. "Aren't you going to invite me in?" He held out his hand. Eliza didn't shake it. "You're from last night? Robert? Raymond?" "Roman Holbrook." What little light the nearby lamppost put out curled beneath the rim of his hat and lit his face. Wet eyelashes shaped his blue eyes, and when he spoke again, she saw a faint scar curved one side of his mouth. "I also wanted to make sure you were okay." "Do you know what happened last night?" Roman lowered his hand. "I assumed you were being mugged." "That was no mugging." "Well, I don't know what else to tell you other than I'm getting soaked out here." Now the plot really starts to accelerate and takes you on a wild and wonderful journey. Across the 3 books, you are whisked from Cornwall up to Scotland, then across to France, and, would you believe it, to the very depths of hell itself. Often gory, sometimes scary, and sometimes even wildly funny with characters that are so different and perfectly formed you'll feel as if you're lost in a crazy dream, this series will be hard for you to put down. It turns out that Eliza has an extremely famous spiritual ancestor, and her bloodline is coveted by so many people, some closer to her than others. Roman, her saviour on that night at the station, was her saviour for a reason, and he makes it his duty, through self-interest as much as a growing, let's say, admiration for Eliza, to make sure she is protected as much as he possibly can, even if his objective to save his own life from demonic forces is threatened as a result. In Book 2, Resurrection, Roman, having brought Eliza back from the dead at the end of Book 1, finds himself pursued by an evil creature from the bowels of hell itself, the sheriff, who wants him back in purgatory to face his punishment. I won't go into all the details here, but in this clip from the second audiobook, the sheriff, who by the way can change his appearance in the blink of an eye and is now impersonating Eliza's missing policeman brother Billy, has caught up with Eliza and Roman and is getting close. Too close.
That is not Billy. He removed her hand from the door and restrained her from going for it again.
But I saw him. You saw him. He's found a way back.
I'm telling you, that is not Billy.
Eliza went for the handle again, and again Roman stopped her.
You are not going out there.
I am.
Various items on her dresser started to rumble and shake. On her bedside table, the drawer flew out and smashed against the opposite wall. Roman saw and loosened his grip on her. He drew in a controlled breath, as though to calm a tense situation.
If you go out there, that thing will kill you.
But it was Billy. I saw him. You saw him.
Roman slowly shook his head. It spoke volumes. The random items around the bedroom stilled. Fear replaced the fire in Roman's eyes, and now all Eliza wanted to do was get out of this bedroom and as far away from her father's house as possible.
Who is it?
The sheriff. So, the plot accelerates in a crazy whirlwind of characters, humour, gore, tension, and incredible unpredictability. In this final clip from the audiobook of Book 3, The Undoing, the sheriff, whose attempts to capture Roman in Book 2 were thwarted, is now focusing on Eliza, who has fled to Scotland in an attempt to escape his pursuit. The sheriff wants her as the bait for catching Roman and is closing in. Eliza froze. She listened as someone paced around inside the small wooden building. Had the sheriff returned? Eliza forgot the hill and fled towards the trees, finding cover behind a nearby trunk. She crouched and watched through the branches. The sheriff stepped away from the shed door. His coat was stretched tight across his shoulders, and he was tall enough to reach the roof of the shed even with his upper body hunched over. He sniffed the air, like he had in her father's driveway.
Eliza, I can smell you're close. Make yourself known to me, girl, and in return, your brother shall go free.
So, I can't recommend this series of audiobooks enough. Yes, I know I narrated them, so I must be biased, but if you're not into audiobooks, visit the Amazon bookstore and get your copies in paperback or in ebook for your Kindle. If you're not sure whether this book genre is for you, try Book 1, The Sacrifice, because I think you'll be hooked and want to get hold of the other two. And rumour has it that there will be a fourth book coming out in the next year or so. So, here's an offer. I'll send you a free Audible download code of Book 1 so that you can listen to all 9 hours and 4 minutes of it for nothing, and you get to keep it for good whether or not you have an Audible subscription. So email me, my email address is here and in the notes for this video below. Put sacrifice code in the subject line and I'll email you the code and simple instructions on how you go about redeeming it. I guarantee that you will love these crazy books. And my thanks to the brilliant Donna Collins for creating them. But thank you for watching. Keep on listening and see me again soon. Bye for now.